Welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to go through NextJS and set up the basics. We're going to set up a basic hello world example. We're going to do the web pages. We're going to do the APIs. We're going to go through the layouts. We're going to figure out what are the few pieces of NextJS 13 and how we can use them. So in order to run NextJS, you need Node plus a package manager. You can use npm or yarn. You'll need an editor. I'll be using VS Code when demoing, and you'll need a terminal as well. VS Code comes with a built-in terminal. It's great. And then of course we need NextJS and we need React. So first off, I'm going to show you how to set up the project. Then we're going to go through some different types of components, server side, client side. We're going to create routes. We're going to create pages. We're going to create API paths and routes. We're going to edit layouts. We're going to edit the favicon. We're going to change the tag metadata. And we're going to end it on the API. So let's jump in and get the project started. All right, so here I've got basic VS Code editor open. We got the terminal right down here. We got the files here. I'm doing it in a dev container. It's set up like a blank slate. Don't need to worry about the dev container. And let's get started. So first thing, we need to install NextJS and React. So when we install NextJS, if we don't already have React installed, NextJS will help us install it. So the way we'll do it is we'll go to the terminal and just make sure you have npm installed and Node. You can do that writing -node-v and then npm-v. As you see, we have Node version 18.16 and we got npm version 9.5. NextJS 13 will run on Node 16.8 plus. So if you got above that, you should be good to go. So in order to create the projects, we're going to go npx create next app at latest. We're going to run that command, and here it's going to need to install the packages. You just click yes, and the first thing you do is you enter your project name. For our case, we're going to enter hello-world. Do we want to use TypeScript? Yeah, we're going to use TypeScript. Do we want to use ESLint? Yes, we're going to use ESLint. Are we going to use Tailwind CSS? Yes, we are. Are we going to use the source directory? No, we're not. Are we going to use app router? Yes, that's exactly what this tutorial is about. Would you like to customize the default import aliases? No. And there we go. Now we're just going to wait until everything sets up. It's going to install all the packages and we're good to go. And there we go. The packages and NextJS have been installed. So let's get started. So because we named our project hello-world, that's what the folder that NextJS created for us is going to be called. So in here, you might see a few folders. We got the app directory. That's where we're going to be working. That's the main part. We got the node modules. That's node specific. Not just going to jump in there. We got the public folder. This is where you're going to store your publicly accessible images. We got some ESLint if you install that. We got our gitignore folder. We got some next environment types. We got the next config.js. We got the package lock. We got the package JSON. So in the package JSON, we'll have some information about our app, the version, and some scripts that we can run for the server. We're going to get back to running this dev command real soon. We've got some post CSS config. We've got a README. We've got Tailwind. And we've got tsconfig. Obviously, if you will install that. But as we saw in package.json, we have the dev script. So when we're running our project, we want to go npm run dev. Of course, that doesn't work. We need to cd into the hello world folder so it knows the path. Because if we look at here, in the directory, there is nothing in there. Because there is no npm folder here, so it doesn't know what we should run. So move into hello world. There we go. Now if you do an ls, you should see your package.json. So now if we run npm run dev, boom, the server is spinning up, and by default it will be spinning up on port 3000. So if we go to localhost 3000, when you run npm run dev, you're actually running Next in development mode. It will therefore be quite slow initially, because it's building the files on demand instead of building the entire project. So your websites will be a lot quicker once you run them in production. But we're just running them in development. So first thing, you should see exactly this page. NextJS by Vercel. You have the docs, you have the learn, you have the templates, you have the deploy. So you should have this page open on local. If you've run npm run dev, it should be running on localhost 3000. You'll see it on the port in the beginning. It says ready started server on 0.0.0.0. That's localhost port 3000. And then we have the URL. You can just visit that. Okay, brilliant. So for our tutorial, let's remove all this and start from a completely blank slate. We open up the app folder and we go to page, and this is all the code. It's quite a lot of code. So we're just going to remove it, remove the entire main tag. We're going to remove the image import, and now we're just left with this empty return statement. If we go to the page, it will error out. So let's fix that. There we go. It's blank. It's a little gray on the background, so let's fix that. So if you did install Tailwind CSS, this is the reason why it's not completely blank. And if you did write anything in the page, it's going to come up in a weird way, just like this. It's going to be weird like this. That's because of this file, globals.css. There are already some imported CSS files. Is the backgrounds put on repeat. So just delete that. Leave these 3 Tailwind components up at the top if you're going to use Tailwind. But that's it. Now if we go back, it should now be a white screen. Okay. So there are hot reloads going on. So whenever you save a file, Next notices that, and it will rebuild the project without you needing to redeploy the server, and it will just pop up live for you. So let's get started writing our first code. So let's go back to page.tsx, and we're just going to create a p tag. So we're going to write p. If you emit, it will autofill this for you. Otherwise, just open and close the brackets with a p tag. Basic HTML. I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to assume you already know it. We're just going to write hello world in here. If we go back to the hot reload, boom, in the left top corner, we got hello world. And as you see, we didn't need to do anything. It hot reloaded for us. When it comes to Next.js, there are 2 types of components. There are server-side components and there are client-side components. Server-side components render on the server. So there will be no flashes of data. You'll just get the entire page. Because typically React has been client-side. And that's where you get these loading bars. Server-side renders all the data and just pushes the code to the client, and he can view it on the front end immediately. Next.js is by default server-side, and if you want to use client-side, you're going to have to specify that, but you can mix and match the 2 client-side components with server-side components and vice versa. and layer them in different layers. But this is out of the scope of a Hello World video. So let me show you how you create new routes in NextJS. It's very easy, very simple. You're going to go back to the app directory and you're going to go create a new folder. And this is going to be the path that you're going to want to have it. So when you are in just the app directory, you are in root. You're in the / directory. If you want to create a path, for example, like this, /hello, well, that won't be found. It's going to leave the 404 error because it doesn't exist. Yeah, NextJS already handles the 404 stuff already in the backend as well. So brilliant. But we have the /hello root. We haven't created one. We created this folder, but it doesn't have anything. In order to actually create a page, you have to create a file called page.tsx or JSX if you're using just plain JavaScript. Now, this is pretty cool because it's so easy to create a path. If you do not have a page.tsx file in here, this path won't be created as a page that you can visit. You can although create an API with a root.tsx file, but that's coming in a later section. So I'm going to use my React snippets and we're going to create a component. And we're going to name this component hello. So if we go back here, so now we save it, we run back to our website, we go to the hello path, we reload it, and now we got hello in the center. Brilliant, look at that. You can, if you also want, you can mix and match the TSX and JSX file. So in the root layout, we have, it kind of what wraps around the code. So this is like the main code. So this is the main HTML document, which then wraps a body, which then wraps your children. So if you wanted to create a footer, you could create it here, create a footer, and now obviously because it's a footer and we have no styling to it, it's just going to be on the top here. And as you can see, if we're doing something wrong with NextJS, we can get some errors. And you can see here our error is because we don't contain a matching footer in HTML. I think that's because it needs to be in the body. But for now, I'm going to delete this because it doesn't look too good. So now I'm going to show you if you used Tailwind. We're going to put a div here and we're going to go class name text center. And we're going to see what happens. Because we have Tailwind, if you install that, the text got centered. And you see it got centered on the /hello row. If we go back to the hello world, that's also centered. That's because it will center everything because of layouts. It's applied the layout to all the pages and it trickles down. But we can also create a root specific layout. So if you want something to be available on only hello and down, because the layouts trickle down, you can add a new layout file here. Again, just follow the convention, call it layout.tsx, and we're gonna need to hello layout, and we're gonna need to accept children. I'm gonna remove these tags, and we just have that left. We don't need this text center because we already have it. So if we look again at hello. We see nothing has changed, but let's here change to text red 800. Let's see, boom, it's turned red. And if we go back to the main route, nothing has happened because the layout is only applying to everything hello and beyond. To prove that, we can do a new folder called again. This will create a new route path called /hello/again. Create a page.tsx, rfc, hello again. Save that. We go to /hello again. And as the page gets built, you see it's hello again, but in red. Here on this div, if we wanted to, we could create a text green 800. And this should then override the layout and produce it green. And that's how we can change the layouts and the pages and the colors to trickle down. It's awesome. Now, let me show you the favicon. The favicon will be right here. So what we need to do is, if we want to change this, we just need to download a new version if we want. You can go to favicon.ico or download any type of favicon you want. We can download this anger signal, we can download the alien. I'm gonna download this one. I'm gonna download this one. I'm gonna open them up. I'm gonna delete it. Once you've downloaded them and unzipped them, we're gonna put the favicon into the app directory. There we go. And if we then go back to our page, as you can see, our Vercel favicon is there. If we refresh this, we got the new favicon. Brilliant, and that's how easy it is. If we want to change it, we can go in here, take this other one, put it in the app directory, replace it, boom, refresh again, and we got the new one. Sometimes if the cache hasn't reset it, you can just hard reload it and it will be fine. Next, you might notice that up there we have create next app. We don't maybe want that title, maybe we wanted something else. So we go back here, I'm just gonna close this one down, boom. And the way you do that, you go to layout, and here we have the metadata, and we can just change it to say hello world. We go here, refresh the page, and now it says hello world. Let's see if we can change it somewhere else. Take this page, add it on the hello page. And this is how we can change it on each individual page. We have this, we just export const metadata and the title and the description, and I will change it for each page or layout depending on where you put it. So if you put it on a page, it will just be on that page. If you put it on a layout, it will trickle down to all the other pages if it does not have it on the page or a parent layout. It's specificity that rules. So the more specific, that will override everything else. But okay, brilliant. Now let's look at the API. For the API, you cannot have a page.tsx on the same path if you want to have an API route. But if you do, you can append /API and then create a path for that. So for example, if we have the app, we can create an API folder. We create a new file called root.tsx. So Next.js has something called route handlers. And in order to create a route handler, you create a route.tsx file. And then we're going to create a file here. I've copied this from the Next documentation, but we're just going to create here. We import Next response so we can give a response, and we're going to name and export an async function with the method of the path that we want to create. So if you want to have a GET request, well, then you create a file called GET. If you want to have a POST request, you have a file called POST. I'll show you in a second. By default, if you have these methods as functions, then there's going to be an option route for those already by default. Then we're going to create a object, and we'll just send it in as a response. So as we created a API route here in the root folder, we go to /root /API, and you can see hello world. So that's how you can create a route. Brilliant. Now, if you want to create a post route, boom, you can copy that, and we just call it post, and then instead of hello world, we're just going to call it hello post. Now, because we're using a web browser, we cannot do the request, so we're going to open up Postman. All right, we got Postman open, and if we send that request, we get a hello post response. And if we refresh this, we're still getting a hello world response. And that's pretty much API route. So if you want to create an API route somewhere else, you can, for example, create a folder. It doesn't have to be called API. We can, for example, create a folder called YouTube. And then here we create a root.tsx, and we then do the same thing as we did here. We take these, boom, and like and subscribe. I'll close down Postman. Let's see, what was root? Hello again /YouTube. Hello /again /YouTube. That roads, and like and subscribe. And that has been the fundamentals of Next.js, some basics. Now go around, play around, and build something awesome. Please share it in the comments if you like, and watch my next video.